California police and firefighters are moving to Eagle, Idaho more than any other city in the entire state. I'm gonna give you the top 5 reasons why they are moving to Eagle, Idaho, and number 3 is gonna shock you. So maybe you're watching this and you're wondering, where is Eagle, Idaho? So let me tell you really quickly. Eagle, Idaho is located in Ada County, which is a suburb of the city of Boise. Eagle is north of Meridian and sits along the beautiful foothills of the Boise foothills. So you may have even heard it being called the Little Orange County, and that's kind of a joke for us up here. But let's dig in to see how police and firefighters discovered Eagle, Idaho, and why this movement is such a big thing right now. So this movement really started back in the 70s, early 80s, when a lot of police and fire were looking to get out of California because the cost of living started to rise. And it's funny to say that now because thinking back in the 70s, 80s, that cost of living is so cheap compared to where we are today. But that's when it started, and they started looking for places outside the state of California where they could take their big pensions and move them into a smaller community that the cost of living was even less than what it was back in the 70s and 80s. But late 80s and 90s, man, that's when we really saw police, firefighters, and cops taking their pensions and moving them here to Idaho. So that leads us to our number 1 reason why cops and firefighters are flocking to Eagle, Idaho. Cost of living is number 1. With the home prices, looking for their kids to be able to afford homes down there, wasn't gonna happen. You have your day-to-day gasoline at the gas pump, you have your income taxes, you have your grocery taxes, all the stuff. It just didn't make sense to carry that retirement into those type of high taxes. And so it just made sense to kind of look elsewhere. So in contrast, Idaho just offers a more affordable lifestyle. If you think about the housing prices, even though we were up higher than we normally been, still cheaper than buying a home in California. Our property taxes with the homeowner's exemption credit that you get just knocks those property taxes to nothing compared to where you're at. Gas prices, day-to-day income taxes, everything is lower. I mean, talk about just being able to stretch your dollar further and enjoy your quality of life so much more. For example, my videographer, Ken, who's behind the camera right now, he's a retired cop. Moved up here, his electric bill is $400 less than it was living in California, and the quality of life is so much better. So these cops and firefighters, they know the system, they know how to work it, they know that coming to Idaho is just going to stretch their dollars even further. All right, number 2, quality of life. Moving to Idaho, you will automatically improve your quality of life, especially in Eagle, Idaho. Talk about just your day-to-day things. You know, if you're retired and you just want to stroll into downtown Eagle and have breakfast at Rembrandt's around 10 a.m., you're going to be able to sit on the patio and enjoy a nice meal. You're not going to have homeless people walking up to you or begging for money. You're not going to see garbage all over the street. You might even see kids riding their bikes, you know, going down to the gas station for their Big Gulp or whatever it is, you know, stuff like that, that quality of life where, you know, you can walk into a grocery store and you're greeted, people smile at you, and there's no angle. It's just people are happy to see you and they smile because that's a courteous thing to do. So when you come to Eagle, Idaho, you're experiencing that quality of life, and that's just on your day-to-day stuff. We haven't even tapped into the recreation, being able to go down to the Boise River and drop a line in the river and maybe catch something for dinner that night, or go up into the foothills and go for a walk with your dog off leash, or you know, go hunting or ATVing, stuff like that. There's so much more that your quality of life really enhances. And it's kind of weird because you're so used to this fast pace, and so when you get here, you're kind of like, what's going on? Why is everyone driving so slow? Like, let's go. And kind of takes a little while for you to immerse yourself into the pace here, which is just a better quality of life where people aren't rushing to go places and fighting for traffic or fighting for position in lanes. They're just going with the flow because that's what they do here. And so when you come to Idaho, you experience just a completely different quality of life, and that's what's drawing so many people here, especially cops and firefighters, because they can raise their kids or grandkids in an area that is just fantastic, where the schools are great, where kids are playing in the street, kids are going to the parks. You're not worried about cars being broken into. You're not worried about catalytic converters being stolen. You're just enjoying your life and doing your day-to-day thing. And it takes a little while for you to kind of reset back to where you were kind of like maybe raised in that era, or maybe you were a parent in that area where you let the kids go out and you called them at 5 o'clock or told them to come home for dinner when it got dark. Kind of that area, you have to kind of go back in your mindset a little bit. And it's weird at first, but then when you absorb it, you're just like, this is awesome. Okay, so number 3, I told you was gonna shock you because it shocked me a little bit. I was like, what? So number 3, the reason why California cops are moving to Eagle, Idaho and firefighters, job opportunities. What? That doesn't make any sense, right? You know, you're retired, you know, living that life. But if you think about it, you know, you can retire at age 50 and get your pension. So a lot of guys who are in that age demographic are like still ready to go and do stuff. So a lot of people who have moved here that are retirees, they're picking up side jobs, part-time jobs, or some are even doing full-time jobs. I know a videographer, I know a full-time realtor, I know all these other people who have moved here who are like, man, Greg, I just don't want to sit around all day. I want to go do stuff. And so they go out and get jobs, part-time jobs, full-time jobs. There's job opportunities where you can kind of just pick and choose how much you want to work, if you even want to do that. It gives you complete flexibility with your schedule on your day-to-day so you can enjoy what Idaho has to offer, but still give you the opportunity to earn a little scratch and get yourself out of the house and feel like you're being productive. So Eagle, Idaho is really popular for that because it gets you closer to the bigger metro area, Boise, Meridian. Because if you were to retire and say move to New Plymouth, Idaho or Fruitland, Idaho, where it's a really small town, there's not a lot of job opportunities in those smaller farm towns, which is fine. A lot of people are doing that. But if you still want to come and, you know, do stuff during the day and all that stuff, people are choosing Eagle, Idaho because you're right connected to the Treasure Valley, which is Meridian, Boise, Star, all that stuff where a lot of opportunities are available if you want them. And so that's why a lot of people are like, maybe we'll choose Eagle, Idaho, because I still want to do things. And maybe, you know, after 5 years or 10 years here in Eagle, Idaho, maybe they'll move on to those smaller farm towns. But that's why a lot of firefighters and cops are choosing Eagle, Idaho, so they're closer to more opportunities. Hey, if you're thinking, wow, this sounds great, I'm really interested in Eagle, Idaho or Idaho in general, reach out to us here at the Go Idaho team. We will help you put a game plan together that's right for you based off your timeline, your goals. Just give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and let's get connected. All right, so I'm about to jump into the number 4 reason, but before I do that, number 5 is the deal sealer. That's the one that the spouse always is like, you know what, hun? You're right, let's go. So stick around for number 5. All right, so number 4 is political reasons. I think we can just end it right there. You know what I'm talking about. My gosh, I've helped so many, hundreds of firefighters and policemen combined relocate here to the Boise area. Why? Because they're so tired of what's happening in the state and what they've spent their career protecting. Those rules and laws are starting to dissolve right before them, and they're like, what am I even doing? This makes no sense. I arrest the guy and he's out on the street before I can even get my report filled out. It just isn't making any more sense in that particular state. So they're like, I'm out. Come to Idaho where you can carry a gun. You don't have to worry about, you know, even if you have a concealed permit, shooting someone because they're breaking into your house or you're trying to protect yourself. And then the state of California is like, you know what, we should pull his permit. That makes no sense. So here in Idaho, you don't have that crime spree that you do in California because a lot of people are carrying and you have no idea who's carrying or not, which is pretty cool. And it makes it so everyone feels a little bit more safe. And, you know, you might walk around the neighborhood and you might see someone cleaning their gun in their garage, which is totally normal here. So there's a lot of things that are happening in Idaho, which really is taking firefighters and police, you know, giving them confidence in, you know what, there's still values out there, there's still laws, there's still rule-abiding citizens out there who are trying to do the right thing. So a lot of them are finding Eagle, Idaho to be that spot. A lot of the Eagle residents are like, no more Californians, but it's actually really helping the conservative vote. You have more conservatives moving to Eagle, Idaho than have ever been registered before. So you're seeing more red conservative voters registering here in the Eagle area and amongst the Treasure Valley because they're just sick and tired of what they saw and what it's turned into, that they don't want to go back to that. All right, we're at number 5. So what I want you to do is call your spouse in, honey, dear, come on, sit down on the couch, let's do this, because this is the reason why families are jumping on board together and making that decision to get to Eagle Idaho. That's why firefighters and police are retiring early to get here, is this reason right here. The number 5 reason why people are flocking here to Eagle, Idaho is the schools and the community. We just wrapped up Christmas here, and let me just tell you what happens at Christmas here in Eagle, Idaho. Your neighbors, they start baking plates of goodies and taking them to you and saying, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, or it's so great to see you, or I'm not sure I know you yet, but from Merry Christmas from me to you. You have, Halloween, Thanksgiving, all this stuff where you have this sense of community where people rally together to build relationships. It sounds really like 1950s, 1960s, but it's really what goes on here in Eagle. People have this sense of they feel like they're part of something, but not everyone's in their business. And so you have this community, you have this feeling of security, and you just feel good about where you're living. You see the trees start to turn. You see kids, getting ready to go back to school or getting out of school, and you have the kids lined up at the bus stop. You have moms going and driving, picking up kids who are coming home happy. They're not coming home depressed. They're not coming home sad. They're not coming home with their heads, down on their phone. They're just happy. So a lot of the people here who live in Eagle, Idaho, they absolutely love it because of the community. The other reason are the schools. The schools in Eagle are fantastic. And you have a lot of options in Idaho. If you want to do public, if you want to do homeschool, if you want to do charter, there's all those options available to you. But the school system here is really good. Parents love it because the teachers care about their child's education. They care how their child is improving, care how their child is learning, and there's options if you need tutoring, if you need extra help. It's really easy and affordable to get that here in Eagle. So you're not stuck in this big system, this big wheel that you're just like going through the motions. Your voice matters, and that is huge, especially for moms or dads who are invested in their children's education or who are invested in the community and just want to have a normal, peaceful life where the kids can go up in the morning, walk the dog before school, walk the dog after school, and you're not worried of like what's happening because you have neighbors who are always watching out for each other, saying, hey, I saw Billy over there walking the dog. Hey, that's great. You get these text messages. So if you are tired, if you're looking around your neighborhood right now and you're like, I don't see any kids walking dogs, I don't see any people exchanging gifts and goodies, that's not normal. Normal here in Idaho is people walking dogs, people out and about, kids riding bikes, playing in the street, and passing goodie plates back and forth. So that is the number 5 reason. So now I'm going to show you what the entire city looks like. Click right here.